Woody Wommack joined by Rob Cassidy on Rob's own podcast, Florida Man and Friends. Rob, how you doing?
I've been reduced to being a guest on my own podcast. That's a first, really, though. You've come in, the man has come in and taken over as the host and pushed me to the guest role at the podcast that's named after
me. Hey, listen, when you hear these athletes getting podcasts, like Bryce Young getting his own podcast, he's not hosting the show, okay? These guys.
Yeah, I can imagine. You remember we had Mac Jones on and he hosted the show?
Yeah, that's true.
Mac Jones show.
Yeah, that's true. We did do that. I should find that and cue that up for the Commitment Issues podcast and see if I could find that clip. But anyway, welcome back. This podcast has been going for a while. Hopefully, be back with Rob interviewing guests and maybe myself interviewing Rob and Rob talking with other people that hopefully aren't me, so I don't have to be on here all the time.
Let's pick somebody up so I can stay the host.
All right, let's jump right into it. The number one player in the country, Shaedon Sharpe, he commits to Kentucky. This kind of came together quickly, I guess, the announcement, but this was sort of expected, right?
Yeah, everybody, as expected, as they say. Everybody kind of knew this was coming for a while, I think, with Shaedon, kind of trending in that direction for some time. Hold on, my mic came undone, Woody. Shit. Sorry, bro.
That's okay. Well, Dave's gonna have to edit it. Oh, you did sound far away, so I did think that.
I just now saw the light was off. Okay. Sound a little bit better now?
Yeah.
All right.
Ready?
Yeah.
Just go back into talking about Shaedon.
Oh yeah, I think it was expected. I think this was kind of expected for some time with Shaedon to Kentucky. I don't think it took anybody off guard. What's interesting about it though is this could just be the start. He's the number one player in the country. He's got a massive upside and a pretty high floor. I don't think that Shaedon Sharpe is going to bust out the way that some top ranked heads do. I think he's a pretty surefire lottery pick, which is good. But this could also just be the start for Kentucky. I mean, this is trending. They have him and they have the point guard Sky Clark already in this class. And there are some big pieces out there for them that look like they're going to fall in place to where not only will this class be the number one class in the country, it could be a super class of sorts.
So before we move on to super class talk, I've seen a lot of TikToks about Shaedon. He was unranked. This guy was a 3-star. Nobody had ever heard of him in their lives, and now he's number one.
He was the number 11 player in the country.
So give us a little background. Did we have him ranked higher and then he was a 3-star elsewhere? What was going on?
When I took over the rankings from Bossy, he was a 5-star, but he was the lowest 5-star. The first time I updated him, we made him the number 11 player in the country. We shot him from 20 whatever to 11. And then we shot him from 11 to 1 this time. So I don't know. I mean, maybe he was a 3-star as a junior before I kind of took the rankings over. I wouldn't know that. But when I got here at this time last year, he was a 5-star. So it's not like he shot from 3-star to 1. It was done in increments at least. He was the number 11 player in the country until this last update.
Okay. All right. So take that, TikTok experts. They haven't cited our rankings. There'll be an ESPN screenshot or something like that. So that's why I was curious. So getting back to super class, can Kentucky do it? You mentioned they got 2 pieces now. They got Sharpe. They got Sky Clark, who's injured, correct?
Yeah, he's injured, and he's been injured, but he's going to play this season.
Okay, so he'll be back soon. But so who else can they land? Are we talking like, one of the best classes in the past 10 years? How good is this class going to be?
It could, they're in play for number 3 in Derek Lively. That's not really a slam dunk, but it's pretty close. I think Duke is involved there, and there's some pro options, but I think that I think it's safe to say they lead there. Cason Wallace, who's an electric guard from Pro Skills, he plays for a Houston AAU team. He is announcing in November. He is almost, there's no locks in recruiting, but he's as close to a lock as you can get. He's going to end up there. And then they're they're in play for Chris Livingston too, who's another top 10 player. And people think they lead for him too. Georgetown's there. Some pro options may also be in play for him, but I think Kentucky is the pronounced leader in that one as well right now. And if they end up with all those guys, I mean, that's, I don't have the rankings in front of me, but that's 3 of the top 10. And then you add in Sky, that's 4 of the top 21 or something. It could be quite an interesting class. And what's more interesting about it? Oh, go ahead. We can get into it.
I was going to say they weren't very good last year.
And I wrote about that today. I think there's something to be said for this like name, image, and likeness era for Kentucky, where it's like they're too big to fail. Like the brand, no matter if you win 9 games last year, which they did, it was the worst season since like 1921 or something for them. And any other blue blood even would experience like some kind of speed bump on the recruiting trail, wouldn't you think? But instead they do this, and I think it's because the Kentucky brand is so much more important now that kids can make money off their name, image, and likeness, and that fan base. I think you see it when you look at Nebraska football should be doing this kind of thing, where the more rabid the fan base about your team, the more exposure it has, the more money there is to be made. So maybe win-loss records are pushed to the back burner and brands are pushed to the front. And Kentucky's brand is what? It's massive fan base. It's one-and-done players that end up in the NBA. It's everything these kids are looking for in the NIL era. And the stars have kind of aligned here. So, the 9-win season is over. I don't think that matters at all. Nobody even remembers. They just remember I can make more money promoting myself at Kentucky at a program like that than I can at any other program in the country.
Not to mention, basketball and football, we're all just trying to pretend like last year didn't exist. The championships count, but like the no fans and stuff, just like it was easy for people to check. These kids are getting tested every day. It was pretty easy for them to be like, this sucks. I don't want to do this.
No, it's almost like we should throw everything out. Just imagine like getting games canceled at the last minute. It's got to be so hard to get ready for games, and especially in basketball where teams were going 2 and 3 weeks without playing games.
So how much, if anything, do you think like the changing of the guard at the other school, at like a Duke and a North Carolina, how much does that factor into Kentucky kind of cleaning up since they've had stability there with their staff?
I think it matters. I think maybe not a ton. I don't think a lot of these, I don't think Shaedon Sharpe was ever going to end up at Duke or North Carolina just because it's kind of different, I think, as far as marketing opportunities, as far as things like that. And, the changing of the guard at those two schools definitely helps Kentucky a little bit. I just don't know if it's a massive push. Maybe the NCAA investigation at Kansas also helps. But if you think of all the blue bloods, they're all in trouble in some way. It's, you've got uncertainty with coaching changes at these two. And then at Kansas, you've got the NCAA stuff looming. So it is kind of the perfect storm for Kentucky to be like the only, and, they won 9 games last year. So it's not like they're in pretty, they don't have their own drawbacks. I think the stars did kind of align for them to kind of shine through against those other programs.
All right, so we'll see if Kentucky can pull it off. That's going to be tough, but especially it's been such a crazy year with so many players reclassifying, the way that the rankings have changed and everything. But
and I still got to take that because they it's an overtime league, and then they're calling to ask me why don't we keep the players ranked, and it's a bold new world in college basketball, and it impacts me. I'm going to be real selfish here and complain about this, but you've got 16-year-olds turning pro now, and then what do? You're going to rank them against high school players? They're pros.
All right, well, we're going to talk about that when we get to the overtime league discussion. Real quick in the news, Mark Few, Gonzaga coach, got a DUI in Idaho, went across the state line to Old Coeur d'Alene. Beautiful country up there. You say so myself. The lake in
he got the DUI like at 8:30 p.m. Labor Day weekend hits different.
Jeez, hey, listen, you're out on a boat on that lake all day. You don't know what, you don't even know what time it is. So I guess I can understand that. But from it's a serious topic, obviously. If one of his players, we're talking, he might get kicked out of the program. I saw a couple of media outlets from Spokane saying, look, there's got to be consequences and repercussions. Do you think he's going to get suspended? And B, do you think it could have any type of impact on the season?
I think he'll get suspended. I think they have to suspend him. They've suspended players for similar things. They had that whole magic mushroom incident up there that I can't really remember who was involved with that, but people got suspended for a couple games. I think they'll give him 2 or 3 games. And that'll be it. And will it impact the season? I don't know. Probably not. They're loaded, man. Like if they're gonna win with or without him on the bench, the real test anyway of Gonzaga is the NCAA tournament. They can lose 5 games in the regular season. They can go undefeated in the regular season. But if they don't win the national championship, everybody's going to look at them like a failure anyway. So it really doesn't matter what happens, in the regular season as long as they make the tournament because nobody cares anymore. Now with Gonzaga, it's like they're not the cute Cinderella anymore. They have to win the national title. They have the number 1 player in the country. It's their number. They're going to be the number 1 team in the country, and it's what everyone expects.
Yeah, obviously that's lingering. And guess what, Mark Few, get a Uber. I mean, what are we doing? Like it's 2020.
Are there Ubers in Idaho? Like, if Idaho's watching this, like, I don't really know. Whatever happens in Idaho is not my business, and it's never seemed like my business. But it's not a place that I was reading the article, Woody, and it said he was cited for DUI. It's like they didn't arrest the guy. Like that's fine. They just give you a ticket in Idaho and you go on.
Go on your way, sir. Have a nice day.
Sorry for stopping you. Get it fixed.
So, for those who don't know, like I mean, Spokane and Idaho, you're not far from the border. You're like half an hour, maybe 45 minutes from crossing over. So that's why it was easy for him to be in Idaho when he lives in Washington. I just think and it is so. Yeah, maybe he's not Uber in that whole way, but there's not a lot of excuses to get a DUI these days. There never was, but come on, man.
Especially if you're rich, it's like I can understand if you can't afford an Uber, but I mean, you can afford like a car service. Get the car service.
Right.
Or horseback buggy or whatever they got going on in Idaho.
People who go to my gym when they go to the south side of town take a car service, you know what I mean? So I think Mark Few could probably throw down for one too. He's a down.
I'd be rolling a limousine like Ted DiBiase.
Listen, as you know, Mark Few went to my rival high school, Cresswell, and I went to Cottage Grove. And let's just say, Don Pollard never got any DUIs. We'll put it that way. Okay, I'm just throwing it out there for my Oregon listeners at home. So, all right, let's move on. You mentioned the overtime league. Now, this is tricky. So, basically, we have a Hypebeast internet account or internet company that takes players and talks about how they're going crazy all the time. Everyone's going crazy. And they've decided they got seed money to basically produce the real world. So they're basically MTV if MTV ran the NBA. So they're paying the kids to come play in this league. Now there's not very many players. I don't know who are they going to play each other.
Eventually they want to have a whole league, but I had a call with their PR guy the other day. They're going to start with 3 teams. It's going to be based in Atlanta. They've got a whole facility down there that they want me to come tour, and I probably will, or they're getting a whole facility done out there. And they're going to play a mix of themselves and other teams. Now, who the other teams were, I don't know if they're going to be like elite AAU teams or if they're going to be like other pro teams from semi-pro leagues or whatever it's going to be. But there's going to be some sort of schedule. And I assume the way that they want to make the money is through social media and YouTube and monetizing kind of the like you said, the reality show aspect of this.
So someone mentioned it to me and said, "Hey, Woody, that overtime league's looking for someone to work for them here in town. You'd be perfect for it." And I was like, "No, I would not. I'm sorry.
What do they want you to do?
It's like social stuff, like." They're like, oh, you run the popular TikTok account. You'd have access to the athletes because they live in their house. They live there. Like they have to do it.
Like the real world. It's like 33 football player or basketball players pick to live in a house.
I think it's more like an apartment complex. But yeah, I the way I understand.
Or no, not Dawson. What's the name of that show? Well, it's kind of like 90210, but it was in the apartment complex. Melrose Place.
Melrose Place, yeah. It's like Melrose Place, but with the league town. Now, they got paid anywhere from, because initially it was like, oh, it's 100,000. They're going to pay each player 100,000. But I saw some bigger figures get thrown out. So
some guys are getting $500,000. Some guys are getting $1 million. There's some big numbers out there. They're throwing around some big time money, and they're getting some big time players. And I'm all for anything that gets these kids paid. So as I've told the overtime people, man, I'm rooting for them. I hope it works. It's going to be mighty interesting, though, because it's so unlike anything else. And you just wonder if the streams and whatever can support it. I mean, I hope so, because like I said, anything that's getting these guys money for their talent is worth it.
It's hard to start a league at all. Like, it's just hard. Like, okay, the NBA G League, we saw that we're seeing players go straight to the G League. They're in obscurity. Jalen Green, the number 2 pick in the draft, it's like we basically didn't hear from him for a year plus. You know what I mean? He was basically in Siberia as far as 99% of like NBA fans or basketball fans were concerned. Now, like you said, I don't begrudge anyone to go get money. The problem is you have to decide, is 100,000 when you're 16 worth, basically you're not going to be able to go to the NBA until you're 19 at the earliest. How much money are you going to be able to make? And are you giving up the aforementioned NIL opportunities to go be off the rate? And I'm sure Overtime's going to be putting these dudes on their feeds nonstop. It's going to be,
it's just insane. It's like a delicate balance, though, right? Like, if you believe in yourself and you think that for sure you're going to the NBA or some other pro league, why not take the money? Now, also on the other end of that spectrum, if you don't believe in yourself at all and you think there's no way I'm ever going to get paid to play basketball in my life, why take the money? You can always use it. I'm telling you, if you're like a low end recruit on this thing and they offer you $100,000 and you're the number 110 player in the country, then the wheels start to have to spin, right? Like, I can take this, play there for a little while, and then hopefully maybe go overseas when I exhaust my overtime league eligibility, because I don't think they're going to have 65-year-old veterans playing in the I don't think there's going to be a 28-year-old out there guarding a 16-year-old.
Who will be the first overtime league Hall of Fame?
Somebody that just plays in the overtime league for like 16 years. He's got knee braces.
Boy, you're going to be hearing from that PR guy after this podcast makes it up.
Come on, it's funny, you'll laugh. But as I said, I mean,
look.
Like, I'm going to go and write a whole thing. I've been overwhelmingly positive about the league. I like that it exists. I hope it works. But the thought of like a 35-year-old man playing it is funny. I'm sorry, it just is.
Yeah, maybe I could have some eligibility over there. I have seen, so the bottom line is now from our perspective, like you said, we will leave these kids ranked with a star ranking, correct? But we can't, like, the rivals exist to rank players that are going to play in college, whether that's in football or basketball. Once they're professionals, that's out of our hands. It's like LaMelo Ball was a 5-star when he was in high school, and then he went off to Lithuania or wherever else.
We took him out of the rankings.
Right. He stayed a 5-star. The record shows he's a 5-star, but he's not in numerical rankings, because for the people who read our site, they want to know, hey, Kansas got the number 1 eligible player in the country, and Kentucky got number 2, and North Carolina got number 3. Not, well, he's number 11 because the previous.
Also, what class do you put them in? That's the other thing. Like, they may all end up in the NBA or pro leagues at different years. Like, you can't rank them by their birth year, because let's face it, everybody lies about their birth year. There's not like a place to put them.
It doesn't really make sense. So are you going to go, by the way, overtime PR guy, where's my invite to go over? I mean, come on, man.
He's a nice guy. No, yeah, I do want to go as soon as it gets set up, because I'm interested in it. Like I said, any way I can help this thing, like, get some PR, maybe get some traction, I'm all for it. And I'd like to kind of go see it for myself. And you know me, man, I'm interested in anything that's a little bit different. And this is different, and it's commendable. Like, the XFL didn't work. Like you said, it's hard to start leagues, but nobody's ever tried to start a league that was also a reality show. There could be an appeal.
Look, if I'm joining the overtime league, I want some overtime equity. That's what I'm asking. I mean, look, you can give me $100,000, but I want some shares, man. I want some equity in the company, because if it works, it's going to be big time. And if it doesn't,
it's possible they haven't landed their biggest fish yet. Like, couldn't you see like a Mikey Williams, Like somebody that's already got like such a big brand. Like maybe he's the one that gets the shares, because you get Mike, you get Drake. You get Drake, then what,
Where I would be, from my perspective, I wouldn't expect Mikey Williams to play college basketball in any way, shape, or form.
No, I wouldn't either. But there's probably there are other pro leagues if he decides he doesn't want to do the overtime thing.
I just wonder, like, between Australia, the G League, and the overtime league, and then college, I mean, do we think this is good for what does this do to the college game? Because to me, it only this is a talent that's not being funneled into college, and this is 3 teams worth of guys, and then not to mention the guys that go to the G League, and then the few guys that go to Australia. We're talking 30, 40 players that aren't going to be in college basketball.
It hurts it for sure. But I'm not going to be the one that sits around here and cries for the NCAA. Maybe they should figure out a way. But the name, image, and likeness thing has helped. I mean, look at if you would have told me Amani Bates was going to college at this time last year, I would have said no. There's no way. And here we are.
Well, at this time last year, he was like a freshman in high school, and now he's a freshman in college. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. I went past your rank people.
The reclassification is just. We could touch on that.
The worst thing is, for me, it's like I submit the rankings. They come out an hour later. 2 kids are already, one's in the overtime league and one's in 2021, and it's like, all right. And now I got to wait a whole nother cycle to get these kids out of there.
Yeah. So, and that's just the way we have to handle it. I mean, when a guy that it's now popping up more in football, obviously, but when a guy he leaves early and joins school, he's class of 2021. I mean, for Duran.
Sorry, I got an image of Patrick Ewing in the knee braces playing in the overtime. Sorry, just 2006 Patrick Ewing in an overtime jersey popped into my head. I lost it. Sorry.
So with Bates and Duran at Memphis, I mean, do you have them as a Final Four favorite? What are your thoughts on how that's going to work?
No, look, this reminds me of the first Frank Martin class at K-State, where they got Michael Beasley, who was number 1 in the class at the time, and they had Bill Walker, who wasn't 2, but he was like 8, and there was this influx of talent. Jacob Pullen was on the team, and there were growing pains. I mean, there was a game that I was at in Cincinnati where Michael Beasley forgot his shoes in the hotel. Had the worst game of his life, even though he led the entire NCAA in scoring that season. And K-State got their doors blown off by Xavier. There were games where that happened, and there's going to be growing pains. And I think a successful year for that Memphis team is the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. Anything over than that is gravy. And I don't want to imagine a world where Penny Hardaway coaches this team to the Sweet 16 and still is kind of looked at as a failure. And, I could see that happening, and I just think that would be unfair. I don't think that you can expect a team carried by 2 freshmen who have recently reclassified to all of a sudden be a national title favorite. Like it's a lot of expectation that I think is a little bit unwarranted. And I think they're going to be a very good team. I think they're going to be a formidable team. And I think they're going to push to maybe be a Sweet 16 Elite 8 team. But I don't think that you can put national title or bust on this kind of team. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, it was so crazy how it all came together from not only them deciding to go to Memphis and not go pro, but to do it immediately. I didn't like high school that much. Could I have just a week before my senior year been like, no, I'm gonna go to college now? What would I have had to do?
I don't know. You'd have to go into the guidance counselor's office and hope for the best, I guess. I don't. To think about it though, my second semester of my senior year, I had like 3 classes. So I guess it worked in the summer, and I mean, I guess that's it. And the only reason I had to take 5 is because I was playing sports.
Yeah, I was working 4 p.m. to 1 a.m. and then my first class wasn't until like 11 a.m. I'd go to school from like 11.
Where were we working at 1 a.m.?
Safeway. Oh, I've
heard about this.
I had to stock the soda shelves, man. I was running the soda department. I couldn't be.
People need their Dr. Thunder or whatever.
Yeah. I was gonna say, do you want to go over some of the fake soda names before we wrap up?
Dr. Thunder is one I remember because it was huge at college.
Okay, so Dr. Thunder wasn't a Safeway brand though. Safeway's fake Dr. Pepper was Dr. Becker.
Even worse. What was the fake Mountain Dew? Like citrus drop or something like that?
Mountain Breeze.
No, they didn't even. They were even. Yeah, like those aren't even like. At least Walmart tried to like, Dr. Thunder.
Mountain Breeze is pretty good.
This is Nurse Salt.
I'm trying to find like if there's like a Wikipedia, like what were they called besides that? Because there were a lot of them. They just went like, okay, it's cola, it's cherry cola, it's club soda, it's grapefruit, it's lemon lime.
Yeah, but if you're gonna start imitating Dr. Pepper and Mountain Dew, you gotta have names because those aren't really flavors. Like Mountain Dew is not a flavor.
Oh, wait, excuse me. I was mixing up. Okay, Dr. Becker is like the natural brand, like the I can't. You buy it at like Dr. Becker's like the stuff you'd buy at like Trader Joe's or like a weirdo grocery store. Dr. Skipper was the Safeway. Dr. Skipper. Oh my Lord. And the rest of them are whatever. Let me look up Dr. I got to figure out who Dr. Becker is.
Well, the Mountain Dew one is a whole name too. I know there's like a citrus drop, or the Walmart one had a crazy name.
Oh, Dr. Becker's Blue Sky. Remember Blue Sky? Like it's like a weird natural soda with real sugar.
I remember Jones Cola.
Oh yeah, Jones Cola is still around.
Who is the off-brand? So like Mountain Dew is big with the gaming community, I think. So is the off-brand Mountain Dew? Are they like the people that have the TurboGrafx 16 or like Sega CD or like
Mountain Breeze? I can't. Oh man, what a time! Mountain Breeze. I don't know.
Was there an off-brand Surge?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm looking at Mountain Breeze. Here's some other ones. There was Mountain Frost, Mountain Rapids also.
And these are all Mountain Dew spinoffs.
Yeah, they're fake.
Yeah, bootleg.
Mountain Splash.
How many of these are still on the market?
I'm not sure. This is like a YouTube video of a guy doing Mountain Frost, Mountain Lightning, Mountain Lion.
Mountain Lightning is the one. That's the one. That was in my dorm room, please. I probably went through 100 cases of Mountain Lightning.
How about Food Lion calling theirs Mountain Lion? Come on, that's terrible.
I had no idea there were this many of them. Like I thought it was Mountain Dew, Mountain Lightning, and Citrus Drop or whatever it was.
No, Mountain Rapids, and then Publix apparently has Mountain Splash, which I've never heard of.
I'll investigate the next time I'm in there.
Anyway, all right. So that wraps up this week's basketball show. Florida Man and Friends, myself, Woody being the friend. Be sure to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platform. Leave us a review, and you can also watch the show on YouTube. So be sure to check us out. Follow Rob on Twitter as well. And check out the Commitment Issues feed where Rob is making a guest appearance right after we finish recording this. All right. Thanks, Rob.